printed. The next two should be printed the next month. So I'm very excited. My first two books was about my daughter, Jade, but I call her Jady Wady. And it was when the epidemic came out about the bed bug. She always wanted her friends to stay over, sleep over. And I was like, you know, there's an epidemic of bed bugs out here. You don't know what those kids have, you know, in their house. So she was like, oh, please, Ma, just let them stay the night, you know, teenagers. So then I let them stay the night. So I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning and I was like, just thinking about her and those kids. And I was like, Jady Wady in the bed bugs. And that's how it became. So it's not about bed bugs itself, but it's about two little girls that go out on a scavenger hunt looking for insects. They catch all kind of insects, but no caterpillars. Maybe next time. And then I did a second one about the birthday surprise. She didn't know what she wanted for her birthday. So one day her sister Mara was riding with her friends on her bike, and her sister Mara came in to get a drink of water, and Jade, she just took off with Mara's bike. And so when Mara came back out, she chased her around and said, hey, give me my bike. And so Jade was like, now I know what I want, a bicycle for my birthday. So that's what that's about.
I love the way you, I love
Tell the story. Well, it's true.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Sheila. It's amazing how when you're in that creative process, how you get inspired and what motivates you to write and share your story. So thank you. So now I'm going to ask Lynn Renee if she would tell us a little bit about her book. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your book title, and just briefly a little bit about the book, because we're going to dig a little deeper into that as this Zoom call continues. Renee.
Well, thank you. I want to first say hello to everyone. And I want to thank you, Valerie, for the invitation. Also want to congratulate you on being a best-selling author,
thank you.
As well as your new book, Our Love Story. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
My name is Lynn Renee Means. And like many of you, I've had lots of challenges in life. And so I always ask myself the question, what is it that I believe? What is my truth? I've always been searching, because for me, I always felt that there had to be more to life than what I was experiencing. And so the book is about my personal relationship with God and my challenges with outside systems of influences, and the religious system being one of those influences. And so it can I felt like it could distract us from our inner truth. So the book is about separating that, showing you how systems of influences, we need to kind of shut those things down so we can hear from the truth that's within our souls, so that we can find that freedom to experience life the way that we should. It's a self-help book as well. It talks about, how to overcome emotions, and other challenges in life. And so it took me some time to write it. It wasn't like I am a true writer, at least I don't think so, because I believe that this book is part of my calling. And so I wrote it over a few years, just, through meditation and my personal relationship. And so really it's about finding your truth to freedom and letting everyone and respecting everyone's relationship with what God is to them.
That's very good. Thank you. And I like the way you put that. It's based on people's, their relationship with God, because, that is a very interesting topic for people.
Yeah.
And so your book will enlighten and share your experience with them, and in some way they may even be able to connect with that as well. So thank you for writing your book.
It helps them to navigate, like, trusting themselves. I mean, we're so influenced that we don't really have time, or a lot of people haven't found the time to find out, what is it that I really do believe, and how do I really feel about it? I know for me, a lot of times I pretty much kind of went with the flow of things, even though something on the inside of me was kind of like, this might not be the truth for you. So it's about, showing people, or giving that experience so that people will know it's okay, to find your truth and rely upon it. It'll be okay.
Yeah. And people are searching too, and it's really how timely it is today too, because people are searching, and it's okay to search and find your truth, to find out what works for you. Yes. And the fact that you're acknowledging it publicly too, some people don't want to talk about that or even mention that. So kudos to you.
It causes, there's some people that, when you're very dogmatic in your religion, because I've been there, done that. Yeah. I know how it is, but I'm okay with that. Whatever it is that, people feel, I'm okay with that.
Very good. Well, thank you. So I'm going to go on to Miss Cordelia. Miss Cordelia, you've written several books. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, the title of your book, and what's going on?
Okay. First of all, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited that you have me participate in this. Well, my name is Cordelia Moye, and I am the author. I've published 9 books. And the book that I'm going to be talking about tonight is my book, A Letter from Orchid. And Orchid actually, it started out as me, I was actually writing a letter to someone. And then I was like, I think I can do something with this. So it just turned into this fictional character. She's 39 years old, middle class, Black woman, does real estate, does very well for herself. But then since she's on the verge of turning 40, she keeps having this reoccurring dream about an ex-boyfriend who was really abusive to her. And she's trying to figure out why is she having this dream? What's going on? And so she just has this she's having this reoccurring dream, and it's really disturbing her. And so she ends up meeting this really great guy. It's like the man of her dreams, but something's holding her back. So she's trying to figure out what's holding her back, is it connected to that dream? So this book is basically about trying to mend old wounds before you can move on.
Good.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that a letter from Orchid. It started out as a letter, and then it ended up being a book.
Yeah, it started out as a letter to an old boyfriend. And then I was like, nah, I think I'm just gonna turn this into a book. So I just turned it into a book, and it is a book of fiction. So it's funny because when people read my books, if you know me, you try to find me in the character. I have a book called Chuck's Small Circle, and it's about a man who spent 20 years in prison. Obviously, I'm not a man, and I didn't spend 20 years in prison. But when people read the book and they know me, they're trying to find me okay, I know she's in here somewhere. And people are well, what happened to you? And I'm like, okay, first of all, I am not a man. I did not spend 20 years in prison. He's a figment of my imagination. But I guess but when people don't know me, they just read the story as it is. But I just find it funny that when people read the stories and they actually have a relationship with me, they're always like, that part was about you, wasn't it? And I'm like, no, that never happened. But certain things can be inspired by something that's happened to me, but then I'll just twist it and turn your brain into knots. So yeah, but no, it started as a real letter to someone, but I just took it in a whole nother direction.
Very good. Well, thank you for sharing how you were inspired to write and how it ended up being a book from a starting of a letter. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to go to my other author, last but not least. We're going to ask Juanita Grant to tell us a little bit about her book and what's going on. Can you unmute yourself, Juanita?
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. I
Hi.
apologize for my tardiness. I am a mom, so my daughter had a physical and I just ran in the door and dashed straight to the laptop.
Well,
But
you're here.
hi,
Understand.
yes. So, Ms. Valerie, what was the question again?
I just asked, we're just on introduction right now. I'm just asking you to, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit, the title of your book, and just brief information about it.
Absolutely. My name is Juanita Grant, and I'm from Inspired by Juanita. And for those of you who know me, I am an evangelist, and I love the Lord. And my book is called The Game Changer Life, the Anthology. I'm one of 22 amazing authors. The book was inspired by Samira Jones and forwarded by Kim Coles. 22 of us stepped up and we decided to be transparent and share our stories with the world. And it is a game-changing moment because when you are 100% honest, you are set free. So we've all been through some very traumatizing experiences. However, we share how we overcame and we share our successes with the world so that you too can be set free and be successful in life. So that's what a little snippet of what our book is all about and what it has to offer you.
And I'm impressed by the fact that you were able to get 22 amazing people together to even share their stories. So I'm intrigued by that and can't wait to actually finish reading the book. So
one thing that was good too, Valerie, we were all over the world, including Hawaii and Bermuda. So that was the most impressive part.
Yeah, now can you imagine trying to coordinate that in the environment that we're in today? Virtually everything. So, all right, that's great. All right, so I'm going to continue on. Let me just kind of tell the people on the call what kind of format I'm looking at. We did the introduction. And so now we're going to actually have some of all of the authors actually read a little bit from their book now that they've told you who they were, the title of their book, and briefly tell you what it's about. I'm actually going to ask them to do some reading from the book, and we'll spend about 5 minutes with each author. So ladies, I hope you're ready to share with our audience a little bit about the book. I think, and so what's different is I just want to tell them a little bit, then I want to read a little bit. Don't give away the store because we want them to also listen later to find out how they can actually purchase your book. So I'm going to start with Sheila Burke.
Okay. Hi, everyone again. My dogs are just barking. Hold on, please.
They understand.
Okay. So my book is about.
Do you want me to go to somebody else and then come back to you?
Someone else, please.
Okay. Very good. All right, so Juanita, I'm doing this alphabetically, y'all, to keep myself focused, okay? So Juanita, why don't you delve into your book a little bit more and give us a live reading? This is also being recorded.
Absolutely. Let's see.
So we are
so
going
much
to
good stuff.
Game Changer Life Anthology.
Yes, yes, yes. What I will start off with, okay. This is a surprise. Okay. The name of my book is Hold On to Your Dreams. And it is in the Game Changer Life, the Anthology on page 263. And I'm going to start off from the beginning. It says, my mom was 17 and my dad was 18 when I was born. They were recent graduates from high school. I am the oldest of 8, 4 children from my mother and 4 from my father, the oldest in my family's generation, and the first grandchild on either side. Parenting isn't easy, and it does not come with instructions. I call myself the test baby, the baby doll. As a child, I remember walking hand in hand with my father, always a fashionable dresser. One of his trademarks was his long black leather trench coat. He reminded me of John Shaft, who was an incredibly handsome man. I was proud of my father because of the man he represented in my life. He was strong, and I felt comfortable and secure. Just holding his hand, I felt a sense of pride walking down the street. But the main reason I remembered my father was because we had the same complexion. It was just like mine. When I was 3 years old, I remember watching my father walk down the street, and the scream that emanated in my belly that day was, I want my daddy to come back. Was he leaving me for good? He kept walking, and I kept standing in the hallway watching. And I cried and watched him until I couldn't see him anymore. My father had had enough. He wanted to go into the service to make a better life for himself and his family, both my mother and I. He expected to, sorry, someone's cooking dinner in the background. He wanted a better life for himself and his family, both my mother and I. He expected to have the support of his mother and stepfather and follow the lead of his stepdad, who he loved so much. The Army stationed him far away from me and my mom, initially in California. It was difficult grasping that I couldn't talk to him all the time, and the only way that we could talk was on the phone. I missed him so much and cried whenever I thought about him. I often wondered if I would ever see him again. I really needed my dad, but my dad was gone, and it hurt deeply. Growing up was not always easy. Sometimes parents make decisions that really affect the lives of their children, not realizing how much those choices can hurt or traumatize them. As adults, we sometimes make decisions that will either help children to grow or that will stifle their growth. We grew up in a nice area of Boston, Massachusetts, in a 3-family home. When I was a kid, I always had premonitions or dreams and never understood why. I dream things and they would happen.
Juanita, you got 1 minute left. Sorry to interrupt you.
1 week later, or the very next day. As a child, it was really scary and unnerving at times. So I share that because my dad passed in 2009. And when I was younger, he went into the service to have a better life for me and my mom. And he didn't come back until I was older. And things changed between him and my mom. And I really missed him. So that part really stands out to me. I got the better part of him in life because he came to live with me when I was older. And that was very important. And it was a game-changing moment for me because of his importance and the things that he taught me. But you'll learn more when you read in The Game Changer Life.
Thank you, Juanita. I appreciate that. Now I'm gonna, is it convenient for you, Miss Sheila, to
Yes,
get
it
quiet
is.
in here,
They're
young lady?
quiet, they're quiet now.
Okay, great. We
Okay.
understand. All right. Can you just select something and you have 5 minutes on your reading?
Okay, so this is my first book, Jady Wady and the Bed Bugs. I don't know if you guys heard when I was explaining it, but I'll just go over it quickly. My daughter, she's 26 now, and when she was growing up as a teenager, you know, there was the bed bug epidemic, and she always liked to have friends over. They like to come over and hang over. And I was said one night, they're not staying tonight. They're going home. You know, she was like, Ma, just let them sleep over. And so, of course, I'm always, yeah, okay. You know, so I let them stay over. So I'm thinking about her and her friends and the bed bugs and all of this crap. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up because something came to me and said, Jady Wady and the bed bugs. Her name is Jade, but I always called her Jady Wady as a kid. So that came to me. So in return, I wrote this book. It's a children's book. So it's called Jady Wady and the Bed Bugs. So this is the first page. I'll just read like this, the info. Jady Wady and the Bed Bugs is about two friends who search for insects in the backyard. They catch all kind of insects, but no caterpillars. Maybe next time. Jady Wady falls asleep with the jar of insects and awake to find them all gone. Jady Wady and the Bed Bugs is a fun, educational, and a great read for all. So the first page reads, where do you think you're going, young lady? Outside. Did you wash up? No. Did you clean your room? No. Well, you can't go out until you do that. But everything's just going to get dirty again. Why do bother? Jady Wady, it's important to learn these things for when you grow up. You'll need to take care of yourself. What would it be like if you never washed up or cleaned up? So I'm just going to show you the illustrations. It's just so funny when she says that. And then she goes outside after she cleans up. Then she meets Shelby. She goes, hi, Shelby, and they exchange highs. And Jady Wady asks, where's your dog? I don't want to play dolls today. Let's go bug hunting. Huh? Bugs? Insects? Yeah, insects, please. Okay. So they're going chasing all kind of bugs and stuff, and they catch everything except caterpillars. And basically, they're just having fun, you know, going around in their own backyard. They don't have to leave their home to go to a park or anything. They can catch all kind of insects right in their own backyard. So I got great pleasure of writing that. And then when I had the illustrator do the pictures, it really inspired me to do another book. And it's called Jady Wady and the Birthday Surprise. So with that one, her sister Tamara and her friends were riding their bikes one day, and her birthday was coming up, Jade's birthday. So Tamara came in the house to get something to drink, and Jade's out there talking with her friends and stuff, and all of a sudden she takes off with Tamara's bike, and Tamara runs out, where's my bike? Where's my bike? And Jade's riding with her friends down the street. So then Tamara catches her and she gets the bike, and then Jade comes running back. I know what I want, a bike for my birthday. So that inspired me to continue. So I just love children because they're so innocent and what they do is so funny sometimes. So that's my inspiration for that.
I just noticed I had muted myself. 5 minutes,
Yeah.
you did great. You did great with that, Sheila. All right, so I'm gonna go on to our next author, and that is Lynn Means. And Lynn, can you take 5 minutes and read some excerpt from your book,
Okay.
Christianity or Insanity, Finding Your Truth to Freedom?
Freedom. And so in writing this, also I wanted to mention that a lot of the inspiration also came from the fact that I pastored a church. And so I believe that I was called to write this book. I honestly believe that, because there are so many people out here that are hurting. And there's a lot of church hurt. That's what we call it, you know. But not only just the church, but just people in life, you know. We're really struggling trying to find our identity. And we have been so damaged, again, as I mentioned, by outside influences that have conformed our way of thinking. And so I hope that this book will set a lot of people free to walk out their life, you know, in their truth. And I keep saying their truth because that's very, very important, because we're all unique. We're all wonderfully made. We're all different, you know, and so it's okay. Life itself tries to put us all in the same pot a lot of times, and we all don't, you know, fit the program. And so we can feel like, you know, that we're outsiders. So I think what I'll do with this is just kind of start off with the introduction, because I think that speaks volumes anyway to me. So I'm going to start with that, and then if I have any time left, I'll, you know, maybe pick up something else. So let's get started here. I can find my introduction. Well, you know what? It should be at the beginning. Okay, here we go. Christianity or Insanity is written with unanswered questions in my life, with my eyes open, searching for all that I am, holding to assuredness that I am my own person, and truth for my life is not always in a book or a classroom or the opinion of others. I am growing in confidence that the truth is within me and can be relied upon for becoming my best self. Understanding who God is in my life has sometimes been challenging, but I have learned much. Although my roots are in Christianity, my experiences of God taught me that some things don't hold true when it comes to religion and who and what God is in my life. Organized religion cannot provide you with an authentic relationship with God. Jesus said, "The traditions of men make my words of no effect." Religion has failed to identify God in truth. I learned that I could never know God and can only have a personal experience with how I identify God. Our state of being can be conditioned by systems of influence and cause us to fail to connect with the truth within our souls, which gives way to our freedom to truly live according to the truth and power within us. Responsibility and accountability to the truth within will unveil your authentic self. As we grow in faith, so does our relationship and identity of God. My hope is that in reading this book, you will be set free from the entanglements of systems of influence and give way to the journey of finding and or acknowledging your truth, the real you. My desire is that you are enlightened and encouraged in life's journey. For many years, I struggled with what was true, not only concerning religion, but also my truth. What was my truth? It was a long, tough road to freedom. In this book, I share how I moved beyond religion to my truth, freedom, and a confident relationship with God. This book will encourage you to stand in the strength, power, and authority of self. Find or grow in God for your life. Be confident in your walk with God and grow in self-love. There are many reasons people go on a quest for God. Some venture out because parents raised them in the church. Others go looking for peace in their lives. I think deep inside, there is something that moves us to search for God. So that is my introduction, and I'll just grab something because I have a few more minutes. Let me know. So the next one is called questions. I had so many questions such as, who am I? What is my life all about? What is God? Where is God? Is there a God? And many others that make us uncomfortable, like, why God? Why did God allow this to happen? Why is there evil? Why am I going through so much in my life? I remember asking questions and was told, we don't question God. I tried to push those questions away and pretend I could move on without the answers. But the truth is, you can't change the questions that are in your heart, no matter what you tell your mind and say with your mouth. So we struggle from the beginning trying to make sense of it all. I'm okay with the truth, and that is, no one has the answers about all of what God is. I know that God is, and we all strive to understand as much as we can. So this book is about you coming to a place where you begin to deal with your truth. And there's a lot about us that we don't recognize or don't want to recognize. And it gets in there. And so it kind of guides and navigates you to begin to deal with things in your life, such as who is God, your happiness, how to deal with your emotions. It's really to help you and inspire you and encourage you to take yourself to that next level of where you want to be, mind, body, and spirit. And so with that being said,
all right,
get a hold of this book. It will really be impactful in your life.
Okay, so far we've spoken, thank you, Renee. So far we've spoken to 3 of our 4 authors. There are some questions in the chat. Basically, I want to let you know that we will have questions and answers once we finish with the live readings. I'll take a look at the questions that are in the chat, and then we will also share how you can contact each of the authors, okay? So my last author is Miss Cordelia Moye. And Cordelia will share with us some information out of a live reading from something, excerpts in her book. And we know that that's a letter from Orchid. Are you ready, Cordelia?
Yes, I am. All right, so I'm going to be reading a little bit from my book, A Letter from Orchid. So I just want to give like a little backdrop at where we are in the story. All right, so where she's at right now is she's engaged to her fiance, Martin. And so she has set up a meeting with her first love, who was very abusive. And she had there was abortion issues and things like that. So she made a resolve to herself to sit down and have a face-to-face meeting with this old boyfriend before she gets married. So this is where we're at in the book. All right. When I read my own stuff, I get nervous. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to this. Anyway, so here we go. So I called Neil and I left a voice message to meet me at a local coffee shop. Now I'm sitting here waiting for him to show up. I ordered a lemonade. I didn't want to drink any coffee. My nerves were already on edge. I had on my blue jeans and a black turtleneck sweater. I had on my diamond bangles that Martin's family sent via messenger as an engagement present. I looked down at my engagement ring. The more I sat there, the more I wanted to get up and run. I looked down at my engagement ring again. I had to do this for myself, Autumn, and Martin. I kept repeating in my head. Orchid, I'm sorry I'm late. I got stuck in traffic, Neil said, coming from behind. I almost jumped out of my seat. He startled me. His voice still made me nervous. Sorry, I scared you. I'm kind of loud, he said, lowering his tone. He sat down across from me. It's okay, I was expecting you to come from the other direction, I said, trying to regain my composure. I ran my hand through my curls. I plaited my hair whenever I'm nervous or flirting. You still play in your hair when you get nervous. That's cute, Neil said, looking at me like I was a teenager again. I smiled slightly. Did you want something to drink or are you all set? He asked. He's still handsome. I could tell he worked out. His skin was smooth. He reminded me of Special Ed. I used to love that rapper when I was a teenager. My thoughts were drifting. The tone of Neil's voice reminded me of the times right after he would beat me up, then buy me gifts afterwards. He would get so gentle and loving and promise never to do it again. That trick worked for years. For a moment, I felt like smacking him. I felt my lips tighten. I'm fine, you can order whenever you're ready, I said, trying to control my feelings. He went to the counter and ordered his drink and came back and sat down. I can feel the tension, Orchid. Listen, Neil stopped short after he saw my engagement ring. He looked jealous, then quickly caught himself. You're engaged. I think that's wonderful. He is one lucky guy, whoever he is. You're beautiful. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry, Neil said, taking a sip of coffee. It's fine. You look great too. My mother gave me a message. I thought it was time for us to sit down and talk. I'm getting married, as you can see. I also recently lost a dear friend to suicide. I feel in order for me to move forward, I have to confront my past. So that's a little, so that's where she's at. If you want to know more, this is my book, A Letter from Orchid. Can you see it? It's A Letter from Orchid. It's on Amazon. It's a really good story, and it does have a happy ending. My other books can kind of have like a little bit of a Shakespearean tragedy thing. So what made me like challenge myself to do a happy ending is the fact that like I said, like I have a thing with like killing off like my people's favorite characters. So honestly, this girl that I was friends with at the time, she read one of my books, and the main character, everybody loved the character, but I killed him off because he had to go. But and she was crying. She was like, "I'm so distraught. I never want to read any of your books again. I'm traumatized." I said, "Damn, girl." So I said, "All right, my next book, I'm gonna make a point to have a happy ending." So Orchid does have a happy ending. She does put the stuff to bed with the abusive ex-boyfriend. I'm not gonna say too much, but it turns out okay. But yeah, if you want to know more, that's on Amazon.
Great. Well, thank you. I want to thank my authors for respecting the 5-minute time that we have for everyone to speak, which is terrific. So you've done great. So now I wanted to do that because I wanted to get as much into this call as I possibly could. So now I'm going to take a look in the chat and see what the question is. So just bear with me a moment, okay? While I do that, I'm going to stop myself for a second and take a look. All right. Are we able to ask questions? Yes, we're going to ask. Oh, can you hear me okay? So yes, we're going to ask questions. We're also going to, I'm going to put the titles of each book in the chat. Very good. So can everybody hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Great. So now the part that I'm at is I'm going to ask, I don't see a question other than those that I asked. So I have a list of questions that were prepared in advance. So I am going to start with Sheila Burke, and I'm going to ask the question, and then I'm going to go from Sheila to Juanita to Cordelia to Lynn. The question is the same. Let's see how many questions we can get answered to kind of show you what inspired these authors. And then at 8 o'clock, which is 15 minutes from now, we're going to ask you, the attendees, if they have a question. If you're in the meantime, if you want to throw your questions in the chat, I'll go back and I'll take a look again. So let's see how we do on this one. So here is my question for Sheila, but it's the same for all of you. Sheila, who or what was your inspiration or motivation for writing the book or the books that you have written, particularly Jady Wady and the Bedbugs? You have a series.
So the inspiration was my children. I would never thought in a million years that I would be writing children's books. But after I've been through a divorce, you know, a lot of things happened. And I guess God was ready for me to do something different. So my inspiration became more motivating, looking at what my children were doing, looking at what I was doing. And I always remember I took a course at Northeastern one year, and the professor, it was a creative writing, and she said, "You're a writer." And then later on, when I took another course at a college, one of the professors says, "You're a developer." So it all came to peace. So now I'm just waiting for God to increase, to something bigger. So, but I give him all the glory because that's where the inspiration came from, because I would never imagine being a children's author. It never clicked. It never came to my mind. But as I continue to be inspired, I look at my children, I look at my grandchildren, and it just keeps coming and coming. I also wrote a poem. And I was like, I went to visit a friend in Florida this year, and for the COVID. And I was like, just thinking, when I got back on the plane, it just came to me again. So God works in mysterious ways, I don't know why, but he gave me that poem and I just continued to write. And I don't want to hold you guys up, but it's really inspiring to me when I read it, because I was coming home and I seen like a red sneaker in the middle of the street. And I took that and wrote something about that. So I was like, what's going on with you, Sheila? But I'm happy that it's happened. I'm like so deep, with stuff sometimes. And I'm like, it's a good thing. So that's what inspired me.
Very
Y'all be up above and my children and grandchildren.
well. Thank you, Sheila.
You're
So
welcome.
the same question is for Juanita. Juanita, who or what was your inspiration or motivation for writing this, participating with this anthology with the other extraordinary people?
My inspiration, initially, I participated in the program for community women, and I made the decision after someone asked me to participate, that participating in the program, that I was gonna be free. And I shared my truth, what I had experienced as a child growing up. And people were really astonished because they didn't believe that I had went through all of the things that I went through. And I was the person who I am today.
I'm sorry, Juanita, you're breaking up. I can hear you clear and then I lose you.
Okay, how about now? Can everyone hear me? Am I clear?
Scratchy.
I'm scratchy?
That's better.
Oh, 1 minute, hold on, let's see. How about now?
It's
Better?
scratchy.
Yep.
Still scratchy?
No,
That-
Sound better.
When you do
Oh,
that,
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. So my inspiration is freedom. I was on a women's retreat. I went to Maryland and I decided to just release and let everything go. And one of the things I'm glad what you said, Coach Lynn, people experience a lot of hurt and pain in their life. They never discuss it. So while at the retreat, I made the decision to just release and let everything go and not take it back home to Boston. I feel with freedom, silence is a killer. Silence is a silent killer. And I'm free today after sharing my story, after writing and letting the world know what I went through, because so many people go through the different things that I experienced as a child. Silence eats us up. And when we do not release our inner feelings, we allow them to like erode on our inner being. You know, it's like maggots eat up dead bodies. So I wanted to be free.
Yeah.
And I took this opportunity while I was at the retreat. She shared with me that she was doing an anthology and she wanted to share my story. I was a little reluctant initially because of the trauma that I experienced growing up. However, when the other women shared their story, I was like, okay, I'm not alone. Mine is not so bad. However, while at the retreat, God spoke to me and he said, let the world know, because you're not the only one who experienced that. And it will give women permission to share their story so that they could be free and be successful. Because sometimes those things bind us up and hinder us in life. And even though we are successful in our own right, those things replay in our mind and they limit us to what we do. It's almost like a glass ceiling is there and you can't go past it because that still small voice says, you're not going to be anybody or go nowhere or do anything. And thank God that I know the Lord and I know better. And that's why I'm successful today. So that's my inspiration, freedom.
Thank you, Juanita, for sharing that. All right, so next I'm going to ask Cordelia for inspiration or motivation for writing your book. I know if you've already told us about it in your introduction, just maybe address something similar.
I just think that so the inspiration for Orchid was just honestly, because that's the only way you can be. I kept running into my first love. I kept running into him, right? Just in passing. We'd be working in the same place and we just had so much history. And every time we would run into each other, there'd just be this tension, like this tension between us. But it was like, but we were still being cordial and he would be like, oh, you still don't have any kids? And I would be like, no. And he'd be like, oh. And it would just be like, no, we need to have a talk, because I could tell every time I would see him that he was thinking what I was thinking about him. Like, I wonder, does she hate me? Or I wonder, does she think I'm a mom? Like, I could literally see his wheel spinning, right? And so, and then, like, when you have a breakup with anybody, you always say, it's their fault. Like, you immediately think it's their fault, right? And nobody wants to take accountability for, like, maybe I did something as well. Like, what did I do? Because nobody wants to look at themselves and think anything bad about themselves, or you always want to look at yourself in the best light because that's what the ego does. It wants you to say, well, I'm the greatest. I never hurt anybody. I didn't kill anybody, so I didn't hurt anybody. But 9 times out of 10, we've all done some screwed up things to someone and we just sweep it in the closet and act like it didn't happen, but you were wrong. So I had to self-reflect on some things too. So I said, you know what? We were working at the same place. And I had wrote a book called Try Love Out Loud. And I gave it to his coworker to read, and she read it, and she was telling him, oh, she wrote a book. And anyways, long story short, this coworker of his ended up getting me and him speaking. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write him a letter. And just because we need to close this. We need, whatever this thing is, we need to close this. So everybody can heal. I'm into letting go of traumas because I like to live a happy life. You know what I'm saying? So, and people walk around with traumas because they don't put stuff to bed because they don't know how. Luckily, I have writing and I have poetry so I can express traumas and I can share my traumas, and that's therapeutic because you can let it go at that point, right? So I started out writing this letter, and instead of giving it to him, I said, you know what? The writer in me said, I think I got something. And I just started, maybe 4 lines of that book, or 4 or 5 lines, that was actually real. That's actually real. That was actually part of the real letter. But everything after that is fiction. So yeah.
Okay.
But that's how I got inspired, by writing a letter to an ex-boyfriend.
Well,
So
thank
we
you.
are part of that.
You said what?
Some of you were frozen in some of that, so I didn't catch it all, but we caught 95% of it. So I hope you understood what Cordelia was saying. And then, so my last person that I have a question for is going to be for Lynn Renee. And again, Renee, if you've already answered my question for inspiration or motivation behind the book, I do have another question. And if you could either answer that one, or can you just tell us the challenge that you faced as an author in writing this book? That would be helpful.
Okay, so quickly, my inspiration is the Holy Spirit, driving down the highway, listening to gospel music blaring, and got ready to exit. And I heard the voice say Christianity or insanity. And I said, well, what is that supposed to mean? And so little did I know that it was going to be something that I had to live out. And so through the years, I've gotten up out of my sleep and I would write a little and write a little as the Spirit of God led me. The challenge with writing this book was that I was going against the grain. I was going against the traditions that's normal in the religious system. So that was very challenging because truthfully, Christians can be the most judgmental people. And if you're not in lockstep with the way that they think or the way that they feel, then you get cast aside. So I had to go through a lot of being cast aside, people not really wanting to associate with me because I didn't have the same mindset. But I knew that I had to move forward in my life according to the truth that God was speaking to me. And it wasn't about what other people thought. So that was quite challenging because no one wants to feel like they're an outcast or feel alone. And honestly, you have to, a lot of times when you're trying to do something in the light of truth, you will walk alone. Because there will be a lot of people that will not agree with you. And you have to learn that that's okay. You know, it does hurt, but you will get through it as long as you stay true. It's when we're trying to fit in is where we start having the challenges because we know that's not our authentic self. We're just accepting something that's outside of ourselves. So we're never going to be fulfilled until we accept our authenticity. And it is okay to be authentic. So that, you know, that was the challenge for me in writing this book. I went through a lot of, you know, being cast aside from judgmental people.
Well, even though you've met those challenges, I'm really happy that you were inspired to write this book. And again, you know, that's God works in mysterious ways, and you were able to actually publish this book. So, you know, they say statistically that 81% of people say that they want to write a book, but less than 5% do. So I want to congratulate my authors that have written a book on that low percentage of people who got it done. We do have, I thought I'd peek at the chat now and see what kind of questions we have and then ask you to answer them. So just give me a minute. So I just stopped my video just so I can keep an eye on what's going on, okay? But I'm here the whole time. All right, so here's a question that we have. So I'm gonna ask this question of, how about Juanita? This one says, can you, oh.
It's gonna go get.
What is your writing process? And do you have a daily schedule, or do you simply write whenever you feel inspired? So that's for Juanita. Can you answer that question, Juanita?
Yes.
We're okay.
For me, I carry a notebook and a tape recorder everywhere I go. And when it comes to me, when something really stands out that I want to make sure that I share, I play the tape recorder and speak, or I write. So that's pretty much my schedule. As a parent with children, I have 2 teenagers and 2 older young men. My lifestyle is extremely busy. I have my own company and everything. So I make sure that everywhere I go, I always have a tape recorder, and I'm writing my notebook. And also, my first book, I was able to write it in 7 weeks. Don't let nobody tell you that you cannot write a book. I wrote it in 7 weeks. Everyone was already writing their book. It was already with the editor. I had to catch up to everybody else. So I just spoke in the tape recorder. And then when the time came, I did the dictation and sent it to the editor. So that's what I do. And I have 2 journals coming out and another book by the end of this year.
Well,
So
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm also typing in the chat at the same time. So I was asked to type in the titles of the books. So I'm going to try to type those, but I'm going to go on and ask the same question. Sheila, do you have a process that you use for writing a book?
Well, not really, but I do write when I'm inspired. It has to come to me. You know, I can be asleep, wake up, and there it is. You know, or I could be riding a train or something, and I'll see something, and then it comes to me. So there's not just one fit, you know. It just comes all different times, different ways, you know. That's how God works. You know, he gives you the creativity at different times, different places. There's no one set spot. So no, I don't have a time other than when I'm inspired to write.
Okay. I'm sorry, did I just cut you off, Sheila? I apologize.
No, you didn't. I was done.
Okay. Cordelia, would you like to share with us the same question? Do you have a writing process?
I don't, you know what? This might sound funny, but I used to do a lot of temp assignments, and most of my books have been written when I was on my temp assignments. That's when I would get my inspiration to write. So I would just write while I was at work, just write. But for my first 2 books, the process was I would set out blocks of time. I don't care if it was an hour a night, 2 hours a night. That block of time was my time to write. No phone, no nothing, no, that's it. So I would just set off like a block of time to write. But after that, I got most inspiration, like most motivation to write while I was at work.
Very good. Thank you. And you mentioned very briefly about the temp assignment. You actually wrote a book called Temp Assignment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I remember reading that.
Yep.
That's before I met you.
Yeah, there's two volumes to that. There's Temp Assignment 1 and Temp Assignment 2. And those stories are pretty interesting.
Okay, good. I'm going to go to Renee. Renee, this is the person on the call, and she's under the name of How to Understand the Bible. I'm going to ask her to unmute herself. She'd like to know how to get the book, your book, Renee.
Okay. Amazon.com. You can also go to my website, Coach Lynn Renee, and you can purchase it through there. Also, you can either send me an email or you can also purchase through Amazon on my site as well.
Very good. Thank you. And we'll
CoachLynnRenee.com.
Lynn Renee. And can you just spell that out? Because I know that some people might spell Lynn with 1 N or 2 N.
It's LYNNRENEE.
Thank you.
Coach in front of it.
Coach in front of it. I hear you. Okay, so here's a question for I hope I'm not skipping anybody here now. Here's a question for Juanita. Juanita, okay, here is a question for you. I've read, oh, no, here's a comment, but then a question. I've read and very much enjoyed Cordelia's books. I highly recommend them. That's for one of our listeners. And here's my question for you, Juanita. What advice would you give to someone who has an author on the inside of her? Juanita?
If you have an author that is on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
give birth to that author. Do not keep that author inside of you. There are too many headstones in the graveyard
Mm-hmm.
with dreams that were not birthed. Write. Start writing now. And there's too many opportunities for you to write books where it's not as expensive as it used to be. Please give birth to your book because somebody is waiting for you. Start writing your book. Share it with the world. Do not hold back. Do not.
I agree with you on that. Even though I'm not in this author panel, I agree that start writing your book now because somebody's waiting on your story. You can inspire people, as particularly today, people are home now, and it's easier to write a book than you think because the playing field is level and you're not going through the traditional way of being rejected. You can look at traditional versus self-publishing. So if you want any information, if anybody's on this call and you're thinking, or the writer's in your heart and you just gotta let him or her out, then if you want to send me an email to Butterfly Fox Productions, that's BUTTERFLY Fox FOXX Productions @gmail.com. I'll be glad to share some information with you so that you can release that story and share it with the world. Okay, so here's this one is to, well, that's all the titles of the book. Hold on, I hope I'm not missing something. Would it be possible? Blah, blah, blah. This one from Hafiza. Congratulations, Juanita. Maddie sends peace and love. She couldn't get on Zoom. I send a great job. Very proud of you. Thank you for sharing this experience with me. Inviting, it says to everyone, inviting to hear these great authors and their experience with me. So that's from Hafiza, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm gonna unmute you. You can't, can I unmute you?
Me?
I'm trying to unmute me, yeah.
Well, very
Yes.
good. I can hear you now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to write that just in case I didn't get a chance to get on. I had to stay without the camera and everything because I had my kids running around. But I am very, very inspired by Juanita. I'm very proud of her. She's been around us from a teenager, and we see how she has blossomed and grown into the woman that she is. And like I wrote, I am very thankful. I'm getting chills, y'all. I'm very thankful that she invited me on this Zoom meeting because I'm very proud of listening to you young ladies and your books and your experience. It's very inspiring and a blessing, especially the bed bugs.
Well, thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'm going to, at this point now, I think I'm going to, I'm going to call on, I'm going to open this up like an open discussion now, because we have a lot of people on here. If you don't have any questions, we'll just go on. But if you have a question, could you say who the question is to and then ask your question? Okay, let's try this. I didn't say this wasn't part of the plan thing, but I just feel that I'm inspired to say this now. So Vivian, will you unmute yourself? Do you have a question for anyone?
Well, I have actually a comment. I've asked my question already. I just want to say what an honor it is to be a part of this call this evening. Juanita, thank you for the invite. It's just really magnificent to be on this call with all these talented, gifted, innovative, creative women, all that you are. And I was so excited about doing it because I wanted to be able to connect with some other writers. And by the way, I'm the one that asked the question about having the writer inside you. And so I got the information about that. This is just phenomenal. And I think you're all phenomenal women. Maya Angelou, anybody recognize phenomenal woman Maya Angelou? Anybody? No?
Yes.
You never heard of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Maya Angelou has a poem called Phenomenal Woman. So that's all I wanted to say. I have Juanita's information. I have your information. And I'm glad to be a part of this call. And I want to just thank each and every one of you for sharing what you have with us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so next I'm gonna go to Elizabeth. You wanna unmute yourself and you have a question?
Well, I don't have a question. I just wanted to share, kind of echo what Vivian said. I already think you're an amazing writer, Val, and it's really nice to be on this call. And you know, I know Juanita from another adventure we were on, so it's wonderful to come back to the Zoom and see her. But I just want to say I love reading. And it's always, when friends write books, I try to buy their books because that's supporting your friends, but it's always even better when the book is good.
Yeah.
So I look forward to getting each of your books and reading them, especially the children's books I will pass on to my children in my life. But I love that each of you have written something that is so different, but also it's just sharing your personal experiences, which makes the book so much more exciting to read. I've already sent you an email, Juanita. I went on Amazon, I couldn't find Orchid. What did you say it was called? A letter from Orchid?
A letter from Orchid. Disclaimer. Okay, so Valerie, you got to tell them about the whole. so you do it.
So I'm looking up everybody's books, you know, and so I can, you know, get myself together. So I go on and I'm looking at the price. So Cordelia's book is on there for $919.
Really?
Oh, God. Oh.
I sent her an email saying, you know, I didn't want to say what the price was in the first email I sent. I said,
Wow.
Cordelia, check your price.
Yeah. Yeah.
That book must be amazing.
Hey,
It really
walks
must
on
be.
water.
hey.
Oh,
I
God.
think
900.
I know it's a mistake, but I think you can find it on there. Like you can buy it used for like $5.
Well, no, I looked and it didn't come up, so I'm gonna look again.
Huh.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was looking while you were talking.
Mhm.
So,
You have
but
to log in and change the price.
Yeah. So we'll work on that, right, Cordelia? So,
Mhm.
and
I look forward to getting everybody's books, and congratulations. And sometimes I feel like I have a writer hiding inside of me, so maybe one day she'll be released.
and I can help that writer just jump on out. All right. So here,
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
and now I'm going to go to
Nice.
I'm going to go to Josh. Thank you. Josh, do you have a comment or a question? Josh?
Okay, yeah, I do. Thank you. I'm here for Cordelia, but what I wanted to say is, like, I've been like taking like notes for all you guys, and I appreciate all you guys so much. Oh my God. But I want to say, like, how do you guys think about like the difference between you know, like online books and then like local books in a Barnes and Noble?
All right. The question was, what do you think about an online book versus a book in Barnes and Noble? Anybody want to raise your hand and take that question?
Like
Cordelia?
yeah. Okay.
I'm always gonna go with paper. I'm always gonna go with paper because I like a book that's aged, especially when you smell it and you smell the age on a book.
The
You
paper.
can't get that feeling online like that when the book is aging and you you know what I'm talking about. And the book is aging, like that's so personal, like to own a book or like go to a library and pick out a book, and you can like literally open the book and you can probably by the smell tell how old it is. I think there's something
Yeah.
amazing about that. That's
Wow.
just me.
Wow.
Very good.
That's great.
All right, thanks for your question, Josh. I'm gonna go, we have 15 minutes left. I'm gonna go to Miss Yolanda, and it's a comment or a question, so give me a moment. All right. So Yolanda, you have a comment or a question? How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine, thank you. I just wasn't even thinking that I was gonna be on. I got my hair all wrapped up, but that's okay. I'm glad to be on finally. It took me the first two authors to get on, and I'm totally disappointed
Gotta
about
go,
that.
Harissa, but I'll talk to you in the morning.
Okay, man. Have a good night. Okay, love you.
Be listening. Love you more.
Okay, bye-bye. All right.
Okay,
sorry.
good
I'm
night,
sorry.
whoever you are.
That was
So-
Maddie. That was
Oh.
Maddie.
I'm sorry. I had everybody on mute, but now since I opened the mic, I apologize, Yolanda. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. So just listen to the second two, and I'm always inspired by Coach Lynn Renee. I mean, she's my sister. That's my disclaimer there. But at the same time, she's helped me through a lot, and her book speaks volumes. If you want to be set free, please get it. My question is this going to be recorded so that I can go back and watch it? Because I missed the first two authors because I had some challenges with getting on. And then once I got on, I couldn't even figure out how to, get to the message box. And I was so afraid to touch it because it was so good. I didn't want to mess anything up. So I'd like to be able to go back and watch it so that I can see the whole thing, because like I said, I missed the first two authors. And I'm so glad that you did this, and I pray that you'll have more like this, because I want to be inspired. I always want to be inspired, and we've gotten so far away from those connections where we're around people that inspire us. So this just gives us an opportunity to be able to still connect during this time of pandemic and still be able to get those positive connections. So I'm praying for more like this one. So thank you. And I definitely want to be able to go back and watch the entire meeting if you're going to be posting it. So that's my question.
Okay, so my answer to your question is yes, I'm recording this on Zoom, and I hope to be able to share it with all the authors, and then you can forward your link out to the people that you'd like to do that with. And this is our first author spotlight series, and my goal is to do them on the third Thursday of every month for consistency. So the next one will be coming up on November 19th. And we'll be sharing information with the authors, and then they can share it with you too. Also, I have all of your email addresses and Eventbrite, so I will add you to the email distribution list and notify you of the next two events. So November 19th and December 17th, okay?
And you would never know that this was the first one, the way it just flowed. And it was like, like I was at a book reading, like it was just really good. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know Orchid as well. Because one thing I do want to ask about that, is that basically about a domestic violence situation, or is that just a small part of what she went through?
Orchid?
Yes.
Oh no, that was definitely no. I had an ex-boyfriend. My first boyfriend, he was extremely abusive. Extremely abusive.
What the book was basically about, domestic violence, or is that
that book, there's so many layers to that book, because it's about domestic violence, it's about abortion, it's about finding true love, it's about healing wounds, it's about dealing with past traumas, and it's about, at the end of it, her dealing with all her traumas led her to accept true love at its fullest, to get rid of traumas. Because I don't know if I got cut off earlier, I guess I froze, but I was saying so much people hold on to traumas.
Yeah.
If they were in a domestic violence, or they were in a bad marriage, or if they had an issue with a man has issue with his kid's mother, or something happens to people molested as a child, if you don't put those traumas to bed, you take that into your adult years, and people get intimacy issues. People put up walls. They don't want to get close to people. There's something. So that's why, like, I'm so glad I have poetry and writing, because it's therapeutic for me. Because now, like, whenever I get angry about something or something bothers me, I just write a poem about it and I set it free. You know, so it's so important for people to let go of traumas, because yeah, trauma is one hell of a drug, you know. But yeah, no, it's about a lot of different things.
All right, well, thank you. So to learn more about A Letter from Orchid, I see your hand. Hold on, Juanita. I want to check on Andrea Lyman. She's been very patient. I don't know if she has a comment or a question. But Andrea?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Thanks. I thought the whole event was really beautiful. I'm so glad you're going to be doing it again. I know Cordelia because she did some fantastic work on the Roxbury International Film Festival. We worked on that together. So it's good to see her again. And it was great to hear everybody's work. I'm the one that asked the question about process, because I'm always interested to hear about whether people have the process of I write this many hours every day, or I just write whenever I'm inspired. You know, everybody does it differently, or I listen to something and then I write it down. So I just like to hear about that.
Well, thank you very much for sharing and for listening. And yes, there'll be more. Thank you all. I'm going to pause for a minute and go to, there's two people, it's 8:22, that's 8 minutes, I gotta get everything in. So I have Willie Pleasant. I'm gonna ask if he or she has something. And the reason why I'm saying he or she is because my mother's first name is Willie.
It's a she.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
Willie?
she. It's a she.
Okay. So Willie.
Sorry.
Hold on, I'm muting. Okay. Who am I? Willie?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Did you have a question or a comment?
I had a question and a comment.
Oh, beautiful.
I know Sheila. Hi, Sheila. And I know
Hi,
Cordelia. I read her books. I read all of Cordelia's books and interviewed Cordelia on my show a couple of times. And I met Valerie too. You're great. Lynn, I haven't read her book. I have one question for Lynn and one question for Anita.
Okay.
My question for Lynn was, do you, in your book, do you tell people or help them with the steps to find the truth? And for Juanita, she mentioned something about color. Color was an issue, and in her story that I'm thinking that book, that story that she wrote is in part of an anthology. I think that's what she said. And in her story, is it anything, because she mentioned color, but she never explained it. I hope that she explained it in the story, because it seemed like it was a part of her discussion. And for Lynn, I just really want to know, because I would like to buy the book, the steps. Do you go into really steps? Because people talk a lot about things, but they never go into steps. So if that book is about steps and showing you with the spiritual and the scriptures to back it up, that would be good. Thank you. I enjoyed this because I do the same thing. I enjoy it. I think people get really pleasure out of really meeting authors, because a lot of times you hear about them and encouraging them. So keep up the good work and hit me up, Valerie.
Okay, thank you so much, Willie. Now I remember from BNN, we did a taping together. All right,
yes.
So great to see you. All right, Lynn, did you want to address that?
Sure, yes. So yes, I do give steps on how to move forward. The book is full of meditative quotes as well, giving you nuggets for many areas of life, steps to how to be truthful, how to deal with your emotions, true happiness. Like, a lot of times we think happiness is about just being giddy, but it actually breaks it down and tells you, you know, what happiness is really all about and what is your part in being happy. So it moves you to a place where you begin to take accountability and responsibility. And yes, I do help you. I do navigate through the steps on how to do it. That's why I mentioned before, it's also a self-help book as well. It's impacted with lots of goodies. So it'd be great to get it, and it will help you in many areas of your life, not just religion, but you know, how to make yourself a better person, how to be your best self and cover the truth and all the other things that go along with making you whole.
Thank you, Lynn. Now, Juanita, can you talk? I see you. Are you able to talk to us, Juanita? Here you go.
Oh, yes, I am. Hi, that's what I was trying to tell you. I'm using my son's car, so I have to pick him up from work, but yes, I am able to talk. So in regards to colors, I love bright colors. I love bright colors because they make me feel good. I only use the reference of colors because I'm a colorful person. I love to be different and to stand out. But I just love bright colors. They're really, really very important to me, and it speaks volume to who I am as a person and being different. It's funny that I have on black today, but I really love my colors.
No, I meant you mentioned you wanted to be the same color your father in the book.
The complexion,
the color.
See, we're both light. So even with that, my kids used to think we were white. My kids thought we were yellow, but my dad and I were the exact same complexion. I look just like my dad. Resemble him down to the hazel eyes and everything. But that's what really stood out to me, how we look so similar. And I'm just a female version of him.
Thank you for clarifying that. So
you're welcome.
Juanita, since you're on the road, and we're gonna wrap up, I got Brom and Joan Smith. So I want to get to them, guys. We'll probably go a few minutes over, but I'll be quick. Juanita, how do we get in contact with you? And then I'm gonna end on that note with you, and then I'll talk to the other authors. Somebody wants
Okay. So first of all, I want to say thank you for all of the beautiful comments. Elizabeth, it's nice seeing you again.
Okay, so you're frozen.
And love from everybody and me and the authors. So inspire by Juanita@gmail.com, and then inspirebyjuanita.org is my website. So I put those in the chat. So if you guys go to the chat room, you'll see it. It's inspirebyjuanita@gmail.com, and it's inspirebyjuanita.org is my website. And Juanita Grant for Facebook. I have on an orange dress, and you'll know that's me.
Thank you, Juanita. Be safe driving. We'll talk again. Thank you for being a part of the Author Spotlight series.
Thank you for having me, Valerie. This was really amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you to all of the authors. You all are amazing and phenomenal. It was really a privilege to hear everybody's story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I got two people, if you don't mind. I just want to ask Bram if he wants to have a comment or a question. Bram, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. But yeah, mostly I just thank you so much. I mean, this was really inspiring. I'm not a writer, but I'm a creative, and I'm always starting projects, mostly music stuff, and it's hard for me to finish things. So, but you all finished things, so that's inspiring me to complete things and check out all your writing. So just thanks so much.
Well, I'd like to thank you too for joining our call.
Yeah.
And you'll continue to get information on the upcoming Spotlight series because you're on my email list now. Thanks
Cool.
for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Bye, Mom.
And there's Joan Smith. Joan, would you like to question or a comment? Hi, Joan.
Hi, Valerie. Hi, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed every minute of this. I was invited on from Cordelia. I've known Cordelia for many years, and she's just, for her to include me in this, I feel very honored. And she's just a wonderful, she's like a daughter to me, and just a very special person in my life. So Cordelia, thank you, honey. And I've enjoyed listening to all of the authors. This is just an amazingly gifted group of women, and I'm just glad to have been part of this tonight. So thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us.
I'm Joan.
All right, so now just in closing, I'm going to just ask our authors just to tell us how do we get in contact with you. And then we're gonna go probably 3 minutes over time, and we're gonna end the call after that. So I'll go with Lynn. Lynn, how do we get in contact with you?
Website, CoachLynnRenee.com, Facebook, Coach Lynn Renee.
Very good. Thank you, Coach Lynn Renee.
Thank you.
Now, next I'm going to go to Sheila. Sheila, how do we get in contact with you?
So SEWB59@yahoo.com, Facebook, Sheila Burke. I also wanted to comment on the Roxbury Film Festival. This year, I had done a documentary on Boston's homeless crisis. So when Cordelia or someone mentioned the Roxbury Film Festival, my film was selected this year and it was shown. So I'm very proud of that.
Nice.
I watched that and shared that on my Facebook page because I was so impressed. So it's still going on my page. So congratulations, Miss Sheila.
Thank you so much. And if you guys want to look at it, you can go on Vimeo. They have it on there now posted.
Well, let's keep sharing, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Ladies, can you email me your information since I'm driving and I can't write it down, please and thank you?
Will do. I'll take that upon myself as well to share all this stuff with you guys too, okay?
Okay.
And last but not least is Miss Cordelia. Did you tell us how we could reach out to you?
Basically it's my name, all one word, Cordelia Moye @yahoo.com. Not really on social media, so email's best.
Well, now see, now me and you're gonna have to get up to speed because I'm only on Facebook, but everybody's asking me, am I gonna post this on YouTube? Are you gonna put it on? So anyways, I'm going to commit to in the next 30 days before my event on November 19th, I'm gonna take something else under my belt. So I've already have a YouTube channel, so I'm hoping to post this. Now, the other thing I want to do is take a look at the video. It should be recorded on Zoom. I want to be able to share it as well. So I'll keep you up to date as to what's happening. I know I have the audio, the visual, we'll kind of see what's happening.
All right.
So with me, it's new territory for me, but I'm willing to learn. So let me just tell you a little bit about me and then we're going to close out. I got 1 minute. 1 minute. Valerie Foxx, FOXX. I can be reached at VALERIE.R.Fox, FOXX @gmail.com. If you want any emails from anybody in this group, if it's okay with the people, with the authors, I can share their emails so that you can get in touch with them directly. The next two events is coming up on November 19th at 7 p.m. and December 17th at 7 p.m. Right now it's on Facebook, but if I master something else, we'll see. I mean, I think this went okay. I think it went very well. And so now I can't wait to look at the footage. So I also have a referral form for people who may be interested in being interviewed. If you're interested in nominating someone or referring someone, I'll send you the form. You can have them fill it out and I will definitely get back to them. So I want to continue this on a monthly basis. It's the third Thursday of every month, November 19th and December 17th. And I'm also on Facebook under Valerie Foxx, FOXX. I also have a blog talk radio show called Phenomenally Speaking. Somebody brought that word up. I think it was Vivian. Phenomenally Speaking, blog talk radio. I will interview anyone who wants to share their phenomenal stories with the world. So call me about it. And I think that collaborating and sharing at a time that we need to reach out and show some love toward others is important. And so let's share, let's empower, let's inspire, and let's motivate. Thank you all.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you
evening.
for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a blessed night, everyone.
You too.
You
Thank
too.
Bye.